The opinions and views expressed in the following program are those of the speakers and the host, and do not necessarily reflect those of Yoakley Scott Corporation and your sports network.
Yeah, I've been closer to Jesus before, so can you help me out? Oh, can you help me out? Am I on my own? Am I on my own? But can you help me out? Am I on my own? Am I on my own? But can you help me out? Can you help me out? I've been scared to look in my soul. I've been afraid I would follow the road. Yeah, afraid of the things I've been told.
And hello, everybody. Welcome into a brand new week in January, the last week of January. This is a Monday episode of Running Point on ysnlive.com. As always, we are brought to you by our good friends over at Greenwood Chevrolet in Austin Town. I'm going to go ahead and put them in the top right-hand corner of the screen so you know where to go if you are in the market for a new or used vehicle. Make sure to check out Greenwood Chevrolet in Austin Town. They go the extra mile for you, so you don't have to. We have a great show for you today where we try to follow that lead and go the extra mile for you. We have recaps of the weekend. Had a lot of good basketball played since the last time we talked on Friday afternoon. We will have a player profile featured for you as we finally venture into the Crestview girls team, one of two undefeated teams in the YSN family on the girls' side. Them and Edgewood are the only ones left. Edgewood 15-0, Crestview 19-0. Meyer Miller, junior of that Crestview team and first-year starter on varsity, stepping up and being the first player profile featured from them. We have other Crestview players that we're going to feature throughout the next couple of days. Going to be a fun time. So can't wait to share that interview with you a little bit later on in the show, as always. And then we will close the show, as always, with a preview of tonight's action. And there are a bunch of games that have conference standings on the line in them. So we'll talk about all of that towards the end of the show as well. But let's jump in to the scoreboard on ysnlive.com first and talk about everything that happened since the last time we saw each other on Friday afternoon. Friday was a big night on YSN, as you can see a lot of games being played that night. We had 26 on the network total, and we'll start in the AAC. Fitch and Boardman getting together, and it is the Falcons that have no problems there. 61-26. Fitch gets the win on the road. Big one for the Falcons. 63-27. Bristol wins over Ashley Beulah St. John. Lakeview and Poland all over this one with more defense from the Bulldogs. 47-26. Poland wins that game. We scroll on to the MVAC Gray Tier, where Camel gets the win over Garrettsville Garfield, 63-46. And Camel still rocking and rolling through their season, trying to keep pace in the MVAC. Salem and Carrollton, it is a 2-point heartbreaker for Salem on homecoming night. Carrollton comes in, spoils the party. For those of you that don't know, Salem has their homecoming directly after the boys' game. So Friday, you have all the girls there in the student section in their homecoming apparel. You have homecoming court, and then you have the boys' game finishing. The boys go into the showers, get back out, get dressed, get ready, and then homecoming is across the hall in the cafeteria right after that game. So crazy night in Salem. Carrollton spoils the party, though, with a 2-point victory. Champion and LeBray doing some battle. Champion fought really pretty valiantly against the first-place team in the MVAC, but eventually the Vikings too much for Champion. 68-51. Final score there, LeBray rolls to another MVAC victory. Crestview and Brookfield getting together, and Crestview gets the win, a much needed win for the Rebels, as their defense keeps that high powered offense of Brookfield in check, and they win 56-47. That's a big one for Crestview. East Palestine goes on the road and gets a 20-point victory over Southern Local, 77-57. The final score there, the Bulldogs have a bite to them in Salineville. Edgewood traveling to Ashtabula Lakeside, and they get the win, 63-51. I'm sure the entire Edgewood nation out there and the fan base kind of happy this was not a one-possession game. Edgewood has been testing the heart rates of their fans all season. So to have one where they can pull out and maybe get some young players involved late and not have to sweat down the stretch, I'm sure the entire Edgewood fan base and community is kind of happy that they get one of those. Girard and Struthers in the NE8, and Struthers gets the 66-49 victory over Girard. Canfield and Howland AAC matchup. Canfield trying to bounce back from their loss to Fitch on Tuesday, and they do just that by beating the Tigers 54-37. Ursuline and Youngstown East in the Steel Valley Conference. East put up a heck of a fight. Isaiah McCrae continues his great season, but the Irish just too much. 63-53. Final score, Ursuline gets the victory. Western Reserve with a win in the trophy game over Jackson Milton, 68-44. So they get to hoist the trophy. For those of you that don't know, the second game in this rivalry is always a trophy game. No matter who wins the first game, it's always second matchup of the season between these two. Trophy game on the line. It's a big deal in both communities. You probably saw a bunch of pictures of both student sections with the shirts that say trophy game on them. Taken very seriously. I'll never forget when I learned that firsthand doing this boys game for the first time that I've done it. I'm not a member of these communities. I didn't grow up in Western Reserve or Jackson Mountain. I had no idea it was a trophy game, so I'm shutting down my broadcast. But then all of a sudden there's this big commotion at half court, and I'm like, what's going on? The AD for at that time, Jackson Milton won that game. So the AD for Jackson Milton brings out this big box out of the locker room, and I'm like, okay, well, you know what? Something's happening. I better keep this broadcast rolling. And then I get informed, yes, it's a trophy game. We hand out this trophy to the team that wins the second matchup of the season. That was a couple of years ago. So it's one of the. I think there should be more of these. I think they should have more trophy games in rivalries. I don't think it's tacky. I don't think it's silly. I think this is really cool, and obviously both communities got so amped up about it. It creates a lot of buzz when you say it's a trophy game, and you get to hold that trophy for the rest of the year. The team that wins gets to keep it for that year until they meet again next year. So I think it's awesome. I think more rivalries should have that, whether they want to make it the second game of the year or whoever, if someone sweeps, whoever wins the season series, or it's second game of the year only if it's split, whatever, however they want to do it. I just think more trophy games should be on the line. I think it would be really cool. It'd be reminiscent of college football. There's a lot of rivalries in college football that give out trophies for the rivalry. I mean, we don't talk about it as much because, it's kind of swept under the rug for most of these trophy games. And maybe one would argue saturated a little bit, oversaturated because everything's a trophy game, but I like it. I don't think there's anything wrong with it, especially at the high school level when there's not already 70,000 people in the stadium with no reason, no needed extra reason to get up and get cheered on. I mean, right now the way that student involvement is in sports, especially basketball, anything that can draw a huge student section, I'm a fan of. So love the trophy game idea, and Western Reserve wins it this year. They'll have it for the next 365 days as they win once again 68-44 over the Blue Jays. Jefferson and Conneaut and Falcons with a big offensive output in this one. 91 points for Jefferson as they beat the Spartans 91-31. And the Spartans have given up 100 and 91 points in 2 games. 2 really good offenses that they had to go up against, but tough week for that defense. Newton Falls and Liberty doing some battle. Remember, Liberty is a little bit on the up and come, and they gave a heck of a fight to Newton Falls. But once again, just like when Champion fought LeBray for a little bit, winners come out and win, right? So Newton Falls with that winning DNA and Coach Simba keeping everybody calm, cool, and collected. The Tigers end up pulling it out 57-51. Final score over Liberty. But man, that Liberty team, I saw them the first game of the year. Kerry Palermo called it in his post-game interview, and I could see it as well at watching that game. He said, you know what? They're young. They're going to make young mistakes, but they're so talented. And that's going to shine through eventually. And, you're starting to see this Liberty boys team as the season goes on. That talent's starting to shine through. I'm telling you, when that Liberty team in the first game of the season, if that Liberty team played, if they had no growth and nothing was learned this season, that would not have been a 6-point victory for Newton Falls. That would have been a running clock for Newton Falls if that same Liberty team showed up. But obviously, Coach Lamb is doing a great job with that group. They're a very talented team. They have grown up a lot in the span of just, a month or two, and they're showing it. They're putting up fights against really, really good teams. They're getting their wins. Liberty's right there. And this might be a year that is a bridge year to something really special down the road because there's a lot of kids coming back next year. We go into the next game, which is in the EOAC. Lisbon still undefeated in the conference. They get a big win over Latonia. 62-18 final score there over the Bears on the road. Lisbon doesn't blink. Badger gets the win over Maplewood, 77-39, the final score there. Warren JFK and Mogador makes it a tough week for JFK. They lose on Tuesday and Friday last week as they dropped this one to Mogador 63-53. McDonald was a winner at Sebring. They go on the road and win 62-35. Final score there. We go on to the next row where Waterloo still in first place in the MVAC. Not enough people talking about the Vikings. They're playing really well. Jackson Eichler keeps putting on the show. 43-24. The Vikings get the win over the Rams, staying in first place in that MVAC Scarlet tier right now. South Range and Hubbard, and it is the Raiders that win big over the Eagles, 79-46 final score there. A lot of offensive output for the Raiders in that one. They have a lot of ways to score. When they're rolling, they're doing the right thing. They have a lot of ways to score. They have a big matchup coming up on Tuesday with Poland. And, if the Raiders want any hope of kind of staying alive in the NE8, trying to get an NE8 championship, repeating as champions, that's going to be one tomorrow night the boys are going to have to win inside the Thriller Dome. We go into Heartland Christian, and Urban Scholars go into the Lions Den, and they do not survive the Lions Den. 68-22 final score. Heartland gets the victory. Columbiana on the warpath in the EOAC, trying to set up a game with Lisbon later on where they could tie up the Blue Devils, and they stay on pace with a 50-39 win over Valley Christian. Wellsville and United doing battle. Wellsville gets the win in overtime, 56-49. These Tigers, Gary Altizer has talked about it a little bit when he's able to stay after Wrestling Wednesday because he calls a lot of these games. This Tigers team, Tyrell Watkins, needs some respect on his name. He's putting up one of the best seasons that we've seen this year. He's averaging 20 a game, 20 plus a game, I should say. It feels like. I don't know. I don't have his actual season numbers here, but every time we're getting stat reports from Wellsville, it's Tyrell Watkins double. It's just what he's doing this year is special, and he's again having a big game against United to get them a win in overtime. Tigers outlast United. They win overtime. The overtime period 10-3 to win by 7 in OT. East Liverpool and Wheeling Park playing a really good basketball game on Friday in the Potter Fieldhouse, but it is Wheeling Park that does come out on top of that one. 58-54, but a really entertaining basketball game. Lowville comes back on Springfield. Springfield took the early lead, was rolling 19-9, but Lowville comes back and dominates the rest of the game and ends up actually winning pretty comfortably, 54-43. Tigers, they're a very good basketball team, but it was just one of those nights where their shots weren't falling like they want to. They were a little bit hefty on the turnovers, and Lowville could not do anything wrong. I mean, like when they needed a shot, it seemed like it bounced in, or it found the backboard, or it banked in, or it rimmed in, whatever it could to get the job done. Lowville had a couple of breaks go their way, and that's what you need when you're down by 10, right? You need some breaks to start falling your way. I thought Lowville in the first quarter of the game, the little layover from Tuesday when they got a little bit stunned, right? They were on a roll. They lose on Tuesday. I thought they came in just a little bit flat into this game against Springfield. I was there personally. I thought they came in just a little bit flat. I think Springfield took advantage of that early. And then I think they just kind of had a collective meeting of minds and just said, put Tuesday away. Don't let Tuesday cause another loss on Friday. And they got back to how they looked before they even lost on Tuesday and that big winning streak they had. So once they kind of gathered up and straightened themselves out a little bit, Lowville really dominated this game. They went from down 10 to winning by 11. That tells you what they did the rest of the way. Orange with an exciting victory over Chagrin Falls. 44-43. Lions are not to be messed with this year. They have a couple of really big wins on their belt as well. After Canton Central Catholic beats Warren JFK, they come down to Youngstown, but Mooney handles the Crusaders this time around, 61-52. That's a big morale boost for Mooney. You know, it's all about matchups. So I've said that before, but there is that thing in your mind that goes, well, Mooney lost to JFK. Canton Central Catholic beat JFK, but Mooney beat Canton Central Catholic. And it's one of those, you know, you see the numbers in your head and you go, how does that compute? Well, it computes because simply Mooney just matches up a little bit better. You don't know what kind of night JFK had when they went down to Canton Central Catholic. You have to factor in the fact that JFK went on the road and then Mooney was at home. Analytics only goes so far, right? It doesn't take an account on the road. It doesn't take an account the long road trip from Canton to Ohio. It doesn't take to Ohio, to Youngstown. It doesn't take into account the crowd of Mooney getting up and loud. It doesn't take into account some things that just go your way in basketball, right? Sometimes the ball bounces your way, and you know, and it doesn't mean that Mooney is that much better than JFK now. It doesn't mean that anything like that. And I think Mooney and JFK are actually pretty evenly matched. And if they were in the same division, it'd be a heck of a tournament rematch if that were to happen. But I know a lot of people I saw on the internet and things, you know, were saying, well, okay, I guess, you know, JFK's slipping because they lost to this Canton Central Catholic team and they came down and lost to a team that already got beat by JFK. So JFK must be slipping. And I'm like, come on, let's stop with this narrative that because a team that we beat or a team that we lost to, whatever way, goes and how they do to another familiar opponent, then all of a sudden that's a reflection on us. It's not. Every game's different. Every matchup is different. And the way that Mooney played against Canton Central Catholic does not reflect anything on JFK. You know, JFK played a really good game against Mooney. They beat him. Mooney played a really good game against Canton Central Catholic. They beat him. The Crusaders played a really good home game against Warren JFK. They beat them. It's three really good basketball teams. Leave it at that. Stop with the narrative. Stop with the made-up narratives that because a team that you beat earlier in the season goes and beats a team that you just lost to, you must be slipping. It's not the case. It's everything's okay. And I know it's magnified a little bit because JFK fans just saw their team lose again against Mogador. But those are two tough road environments. So pump the brakes. I promise you this JFK team is very good at basketball. They have a lot of good leaders in that locker room. don't jump on the narrative bandwagon just yet in Warren JFK. Elwood City and Mohawk. It is Elwood City that gets the win over the Warriors 77-62. Berkshire and Grand Valley doing battle. Berkshire Badgers get the win there 54-49. Matthews and Pie Valley. Pymatuning Valley, that offense is so hard to stop because it's so big. 79-61. They get the win over a very, very good and talented Matthews team, but it's a mismatch there with the depth that Matthews has. Going up against a bigger and stronger team with depth issues is always going to be a tough task for a team like Matthews. West Branch goes on the road and wins at Alliance 45-40. Big one for the Warriors there. And then last but not least, Beaver beats Central Valley in a revenge game, 63-51, the final score earlier in the season. The Bobcats dropped one to Central Valley at home. So they return the favor, go on the road, and beat Central Valley this time around. Let's hop into Saturday and see what went on Saturday across the network. Some big games, some non-conference interesting matchups. We'll start with Heartland Christian falling to Bristol by 5. A good basketball game. 49-44. Panthers get the win at home against the Lions. Salem has an amazing third quarter where they score 27 points in the third quarter alone. They run away from Poland after a very competitive start. This was a 2-point game at halftime. But it ends up being a 22-point win for Salem, 65-43, the final. We'll talk a little bit about that game since I was there after the scores get reported on. West Branch goes into the field house at Struthers. For some, a tough place to play, not for the Warriors. They come off of their EBC clinching victory earlier in the week, and they win over the Wildcats 65-29 in Struthers. Big win for West Branch against a team that had been playing really well in the Wildcats. Jefferson and Conneaut doing battle. Conneaut gets the win 55-48 in Ashtabula County over Jefferson. Edgewood and Lakeside. It is Edgewood staying undefeated. No trouble in the Dragon's Den, 64-28. Final score there. Boardman takes control of the AAC. I'll go over the standings here in a little bit to give you an update on the AAC, while the AAC on the girls' side. But in overtime, Boardman gets the win 56-44, dominating the overtime period, only allowing Fitch to score 4 points in that extra frame. Canfield gets beat by Howland 58-45, the final score there. The Tigers roll. Alyssa Masucci, another 20-point game for her. Southern Local beats Valley Christian 57-10. Ashley Schroeds gets some more milestones on her docket. She had 2,000 career points on Thursday. On Saturday, she also breaks the Columbiana County scoring record, which was held by Chelsea Bokert of Crestview with 2016. Now it's held by Ashley Schroeds. That record for Bokert was broken in, let's see, my sophomore year, so that would have been 07, 08, 09. So the 08-09 season, if I'm pretty sure I'm right. I think she graduated when I was a sophomore. So 2009, let's say. So that record held for 15 years. It's a 15-year record that Schroeds broke in the county. So she now has the Columbiana County scoring record, and she also broke the record for 3-pointers in a career for Southern Local as a program. So Ashley Schroeds racking up the milestones. Probably, you could now say the best girls basketball player to ever come out of Columbiana County, and one of the best to ever come out of our area as a whole. Just been awesome to watch her the last 4 years. Glad she's a part of the YSN family. And let's see how she's able to finish her senior season. Last but not least, on the girls' side, Hoban travels to Springfield at a Holland, and they get the win there, 62-48, the final score there. Boys basketball, Canfield controls their home court, 63-27, a big win over Salem. Hoban hands Lutheran West their second loss of the year, 68-62 over Lutheran West. Beaver Local, they beat Bel Air 86-56. Cheney goes to Liberty on a Saturday afternoon and rolls 64-30. And last but not least, Wellsville falls to Oak Glen 64-41, the final score there in boys basketball. So now let's go up and talk about the game I was at Saturday. Salem hosting Poland. It was senior day for Salem. They honored their three seniors in Riley Hutton, Riley Flickinger, and Lauren Barton. And like I said, this is a close game in half. Poland actually won the first quarter. They were up 14-11 after one. 24-22, Salem was winning after the half. Looking like a back and forth game. And Salem comes out and starts dominating the paint in the start the third quarter, getting really, quite honestly, open looks down low for Reese Davidson Chuck, right? So Nick Blanche, who was not pleased with the way that his team came out of the locker room, he made a statement decision. He said, okay, my starters right now are not playing the way I want them to play. And I don't know what went into the decision. I don't know if it was a disciplinary thing. It was just what I saw. I didn't really get to talk to coach after the game with all the senior day hoopla and trying to get my interviews. But I assume, I mean, for the last 6 minutes of the third quarter, 6-ish, he kind of had a full substitution and had a lot of his bench players in on the floor. And not because of that, Salem won, but it was one of those things where I think he sacrificed, a little bit of that game to send that message, like, hey, okay, we're going through adversity right now. Mary Brandt's not with us. She's out for the year. We have to regroup. We have to have unity as a team. We have to play together. And I think he saw a little bit of shakiness in that third quarter and just said, you know what, we have to nip this in the bud. He made sure that everyone on that floor knew that just because Mary's out doesn't mean that your role is now guaranteed. He gave young players a lot of minutes in that third quarter. And did they make a couple of mistakes and let Salem, expand the lead even more? Yeah. Did they make a couple of really good plays that I thought were like, okay, they're starting to grow a little bit and show, cut their teeth a little bit on the varsity level? Yeah, I saw that too. And I think the reason that Coach Blanche did that, and once again, this is just my interpretation. Did not talk to Coach Blanche yesterday. I'm gonna see him tonight in South Range, see him tonight against South Range. But from what I could gather, my assumption is that he just made this statement because, hey, he knew 2 days we're playing South Range. They've already beaten us in the conference. We have a 1-game lead in the NEA play. If we have to nip this, in the bud, whatever was going on in that third quarter right now, then we're going to do it. We're going to send the message right now. If it means we lose to Salem, we lose to Salem. But we need to beat South Range. I think he knew that. And I'm saying we as like in perspective of Coach Blanche. I think he knew that. I think he just, tried to send a little bit of a coaching message there. That your time on the floor is not guaranteed. I will put you out if you're not doing what I think is our standard. And he's always been that way. He's always been a guy that will absolutely demand that his standard on the floor, both attitude wise and execution wise, is met. And effort, I should say effort. He actually, if you're trying really, really hard and you're putting out the full effort, maybe you don't execute it the way it's perfectly supposed to be executed. That's not going to be his big bugaboo. But, effort is going to be something that really grinds his gears. He's always saying, I don't care if we win or lose as long as we play the absolute best that we can play. So that tells me that he's not a coach that believes that everyone has to execute 100% of the time. If you are putting the effort that he has set the standard to in the program, this is the effort you have to put in, then he is going to be happy with you as a player. And for whatever reason, in my perspective on what I saw, he didn't feel like, his starters, his rotating five, were doing that in the third quarter. He took them out for the rest of that third quarter, and he let his young players go out there and really take some steps as a varsity, that they're going to be on next year. And Salem took advantage of that. They went from, it was already getting a little bit out of hand. I think he probably did it when Salem went from up 2 to maybe up 10, up 12. But then it kind of, ballooned into, obviously 22. But hopefully, I think Nick Blanche is gambling that that message is received by tonight, because Poland has a lead in the NE8. They're up. They are controlling their own destiny. They've already beaten Gerard twice, who's right behind them, but they can't afford a loss. And South Range is one of those teams that if you don't show up, they can beat you. They already beat them in South Range earlier in the season. So I think that's what Coach Blanche is starting to see on the wall. Like, hey, if we're going to send this message, we have to do it right now, before that South Range game. And I think in his mind, he probably did it there. He might not have been sending a message. I don't know. He might have just felt like they were gassed. Maybe they need to break. I don't know. But from what I could see, this is just me guessing on what I saw live at the game. Want to reinvent that again. Reinstate that this is not confirmed. This is not something that Coach Blanche has actually told me. It's just what I saw, what I think, my perception. So I cannot stress that enough, because I am not saying that this was a factor. This absolutely happened. It just felt like to me that they came out of the third quarter flat, and Coach Blanche said that's not acceptable. Put him on the bench, put his reserves in, then put them back in the start of the fourth quarter to say, okay, get back out there. Let's see you. So let's see if you got my message a little bit. So that's what I saw, and I thought it was brilliant, especially if it drives home for tonight. Salem side, let's talk about Salem. Before all that happened, Reese Davidson was having herself a game. Reese Davidson Chuck inside, dominating Poland. When you cap that with the athleticism that they have on the guard position, if they can get Reese Davidson Chuck to consistently play well in the post, that's going to be big for Salem coming up, because they have West Branch, and you need a post presence to beat West Branch. They have bigger guards in Carter Shepard in the forward position. They have Sophia Gregory, who's a bigger guard. They have a good post presence in Showalter and Woods down there and down low. So yeah, you need some post presence if you're going to compete with West Branch. First time around, Salem was there for a half, right? It was a 1-point game, 2-point game at halftime, and then West Branch rolled away with it. So can Salem make the adjustments? I'm saying if Reese Davidson Chuck plays like she did against Poland, then they're going to have a chance, because that speed plus the post presence for Salem, that gives them a dynamic offense that's hard to defend, because athleticism on the guard position is probably top tier in the Ysn family. There aren't too many people that are faster in the Ysn family than Riley Hutton, right? So her first step is better than most. So when you can accompany that with a really good post presence that people have to respect, then you're gonna be in for a really long night guarding them, and you're gonna be in for a fun night if you're on that team. So that's what I thought about Salem. I thought Reese Davidson Chuck was the difference maker. Riley Hutton obviously led them with 21. She's always a difference maker, but I thought the thing that made this different than most Salem games against good teams this year was the fact that Reese Davidson Chuck played really, really well. And she kind of turned the tide and made that into a dominating game for Salem. So was really impressed with Salem. Congratulations to them on senior night. I said today senior day. The 3 seniors that will be going on to do great things in the future after they graduate Salem. Congratulations to them. And I love being on senior days, man. I love seeing seniors recognized for the 4 years they put into the program, and that's what it's all about, right? That's what high school is all about: recognizing what people do for the program. And even if they're not the seniors that have 19 points per game, or that are like Ashley Schroeds, the best scorer in the county has ever seen. I love seeing the seniors that have just kind of been there and just kind of worked hard for 4 years. They getting recognized. That's really awesome too to me. So I love being at senior days, and I was honored to be there for Salem Senior Day on Saturday. So that is your weekend recap. That does it for that segment of the show. What we're going to do is we're going to take a commercial break. On the other end, we will have a player profile feature for you from Crestview Girls Basketball. It'll be Junior Meyer Miller today when we come back on Running Point, brought to you as always by our good friends over at Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown.
21 News delivers the news as it happens, using the latest technology from where it happens. On air, online,
Wednesday afternoon weather update.
Very dangerous.
and on the 21 News social media platforms.
I'm on the road right now.
21 News, the Valley's only locally owned source for trusted news since 1953.
Craftsmanship to us is 60 years of pride and dedication.
Passed down from generation to generation.
The hardwood floors that your kids take their first steps on.
The solid wood doors you quietly close at night.
The things we create day in and day out are the products that end up turning your house into a home.
At Baird Brothers Fine Hardwoods, uncompromising quality and craftsmanship built our business.
And it will keep us moving forward for generations to come.
Going the extra mile at Greenwood Chevrolet means we want to take care of the community that takes care of us too.
And we have to work together always. And that's how you stay in business for 40 years.
You know, I love being a helper because when I help somebody, it makes me feel good.
It means a lot that I can make a difference in others' lives.
So I will do everything I can and just being there for them every step of the way.
I want them to know within the first 5 minutes that they could depend on me. That's what going the extra mile means, only at Greenwood Chevrolet.
Before the lights come on, before the workday begins, before a long day is ended, or it's time to have fun. It all starts with the people at Joe Dickey Electric. From replacing a light fixture in your home to building a substation for your business, no job is too big or too small. The people of Joe Dickey Electric power them all. Joe Dickey Electric, over 60 years of powering the Mahoning Valley.
Welcome back to Running Point on ysnlive.com. Brought to you by our good friends over at Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown. Anthony Hartwig with you as always. We are happy to be on board for this last week of January, last full week of January, and last Monday of January. So thanks for tuning in today. As promised before the break, we are diving into our player profile feature of the show. And it is going to be in Crestview, the girls basketball program that is still undefeated right now. One of their juniors, Meyer Miller, was able to join me last week, and this is her interview. I hope you enjoyed it. It's a great interview with a rising star from Crestview. Anthony Hartwig here with a Crestview girls basketball player profile. First on the docket for Crestview is Meyer Miller Jr. Meyer, thank you so much for taking the time to join us today.
Thank you for having me.
How's it feel to be the first Rebel on the airways? I mean, I know you got a lot of teammates on the bucket, but you're first. Your leadoff. What's it feel like?
I feel like there's a little pressure. I'm the first that you're hearing from, but I'm excited. So
you lead off with the best, right, Maya? You gotta have that confidence.
Right.
You are a junior this year, which means you have taken a big step up from just responsibilities from sophomore year to junior year. It just comes with being an upperclassman now. What's it been like for you? How have you handled that step up in responsibility?
Well, JV and varsity basketball are for sure they're not the same. So kind of making the transition, obviously I got a few varsity minutes last year, but I didn't have like a set position on the team. So moving into this year, I knew what my goal was. I wanted to obviously be a big part of the team, of such a good team. And obviously that's not easy. We have a group of really talented girls. So kind of earning my position on the squad was it was definitely difficult, but I think it took a lot of hard work, but I'm happy where I am right now.
All right, let's rewind back to the start of the season, and I'll remember this moment forever because it's your first varsity start at Springfield. They're a Final Four team last year. Games went down to the wire, and you hit a big three to help your team win by 2. That was just kind of, hey, I'm here. I belong to be on this court. What did that moment feel like for you? And how much did that game kind of give you confidence for the rest of the year?
Yeah, obviously that was the season opener. And so there were a lot of nerves with that game. It was my first start. And, I still kind of had to earn the respect of my teammates because they had been playing varsity basketball. They played last year, and I was kind of the odd one out. I was the only one who wasn't a starter last year, so I had to earn the respect of them. And the clock was ticking, and I saw the score, and I was open in the corner where I'd already hit a 3 from earlier. And I don't know if Coach Blatch was too happy after I shot it. Usually that's not what coaches want when the score is that tight and the clock is winding down. But I shot it, and it went in. So that was really
Yeah,
exciting.
for those that don't, like, I think Crestview was up by maybe 2 or 3, so obviously the game plan there is try to hold the ball, but Myers saw the shot, put them up by 2 possessions, and they ended up winning by 2. So, what a great performance there. Now going through the rest of the season, you're undefeated. This Crestview team is on a tear. A lot of talent on the floor. What's it been like going through this season and just kind of taking every challenge and winning every game?
Yeah, it's been a really exciting season. I think above all, I'm just grateful that I get to surround myself with such an amazing group of girls. Every game we go into, Coach Blatch tells us, we're going to get everybody's best because we're kind of in the area where the team to beat. So we know we're going to get everybody's best, but we also know we just need to come out, play our game, and we're taking it all in because this doesn't happen very often, 17, 18-0 right now, one of those. But yeah, as a junior and we have a lot of sophomores on the starting lineup, I think it's really special.
This success didn't come out of nowhere. I mean, Crestview has been good at girls basketball for a couple of years now. But was there a moment this year where you guys kind of started to, notice like we got something really special going on here? Like we have something like undefeated season going on here. We have something that we can really put together.
Yeah. Well, we knew coming into this season, we didn't lose a whole lot. We were bringing back most of our lineup. And so we knew that we could carry on the success that we had last year. Obviously the first game, it was close and we came out with the win, but it was kind of like, whoa, that was close. But then we started playing some league games and, if you look at the scores, we're winning by a lot. And yeah, I think we realized like we have something here that we just need to run with.
The big question with a team like this that is winning every game, and like you said, the scores most nights are not exactly the closest. How are you guys staying hungry? What are some of the driving things that make you go in every night with the same mentality and not just take the wins for granted?
Yeah, well, like I said before, Coach Blatch tells us before every game, we're getting everybody's best because the way he put it is it would be the highlight of somebody else's season to kind of knock us off or beat us. So we have a standard that we try to play to every game, no matter who we're playing. We know how we play and it doesn't really matter how they play. We have to play to our standard. And I think it's just like the coolest thing is we're not even where we want to be. We have so many goals to reach, and that just comes with playing every game at the same standard.
All right, so Crestview girls sports inside a gym have not lost a game in Crestview yet this year. Volleyball never lost a game in Crestview. You haven't lost a game inside that gym. What's it like to look around this school and see so many great female athletes and just realize that you're a part of this great run where volleyball went undefeated until their regional loss in the finals and you're undefeated right now? So there's just so many good athletes right now especially on the girls side.
Right.
What's that like for you to look around the school and just be in this moment?
It's kind of surreal. I think us girls at Crestview, we get a lot of respect because obviously the boys, they know that we're dominant right now, and volleyball was dominant in the fall and now it's girls basketball in the winter. So it's awesome because I just feel like we're gaining a lot of respect and yeah, I think it's really cool.
Do you do a spring sport to keep it going?
I do not. Nope.
Basketball is it.
Yep.
All right. So then I guess the question is, how do you spend your spring? How do you spend your off season when the basketball is done?
Well, obviously Coach Blatch will start having open gyms as soon as he can after our last loss. So there's not really, there's a little bit of downtime after our last loss, but then it's right back in the gym.
So you're just like, hey, let's go right back to basketball, which
Yep.
means you love the sport because you spend so much time in the gym. Talk about the start of your basketball career, when you started to feel yourself falling in love with the sport of basketball.
Yeah, I think I started playing around 3rd or 4th grade. And I don't really have a whole lot of memories because obviously that was a long time ago. But I think when I hit high school is when I was really like, I really like this. And then freshman, sophomore year, it was a lot of fun. But then obviously my junior year this year, I think is the year where I've gained the most confidence. I'm out on the varsity floor as a starter. And I feel like this year is like if I think about basketball, it's what I think of because I think I've just gained so much confidence and I'm surrounded by such a great team that this is the year.
I'm sure there are days, whether it be in the practices or maybe in the open gyms, there's got to be some days where you feel like you don't really want to do it. It's whether you had a bad day at school,
Mm-hmm.
you're not feeling well, whatever it may be. What drives you on those days to keep working?
Yeah, if we have a bad practice or like I fall in a slump, Coach Blatch is just always there to keep encouraging us. I think that we spend so much time with like the team, and Coach Blatch is around us so much that he knows if we're in a slump or if we're not feeling good. And I just feel like he's always right there to pick us up and get us back to the standard that we have.
Watching this team live, it's easy to see how tight knit the group is. Sometimes with winning teams, you don't always get that chemistry. You start to get a little bit of a kind of us against the world mentality, and it can fall apart. But you guys have such tight knit chemistry. You're so close as a team. What's it like to be in a locker room where you can trust everyone in that locker room? You can trust everyone in that gym, not just on the basketball court, but I'm sure there's anyone that you on the team you could go to with any problem, and they would be there for you.
I think that is such a special feeling, just being surrounded by such dedicated hard workers. And, we look out for each other, not only on the court, but off the court. And I just think that's such a special thing, because I feel like that's kind of hard to come across, where everybody on the team kind of gets along and looks out for each other. But I'm really grateful to be a part of it.
What goes into that chemistry? What kind of things does this Crestview program do to build that bond?
So at the beginning of the season, we really try to get a few team bonding activities in, just to feel each other out and get to know each other. So towards the end of the middle and the end of the season, we don't really do as much team bonding. However, Blatch gets us to some college games, and that allows us to kind of connect off the court still. And yeah, I think, and obviously seeing each other in school all day, we pass each other in the hallway all the time. So I just think that all plays a role in it.
What is your absolute favorite team bonding exercise?
I really enjoy the college games that Blatch takes us to. I think it's really cool to see, the competition at the higher level, and then just be able to sit with my team while watching the game. I think that's really fun.
All right, let's talk about you as a student. Obviously, there's a big jump, not just in basketball, but in schoolwork from sophomore to junior year. How have you been handling that transition inside the school?
Yeah, everybody tells you that junior year is going to be your hardest year, and I didn't believe them until I was in it. I picked up a few college credit plus classes this year on top of my schedule. And at the beginning of the year, I really regretted it. But now I think I have a schedule down, and, I learned how to balance my work with my athletics. So it's going good right now.
What have been some of your favorite classes so far in your whole schooling career?
I picked up an econ course through YSU. That was last semester, and it was all about finance, financing your money in a smart way. And I think that was a really good class to take. And then I would say I love English class. That's probably my favorite. So
if you had to pick one teacher that's had a big impact on your journey so far, who would you pick?
So my uncle is actually the math teacher in the high school, and he's also the JV boys coach. And so I know it's really cool because I can go to him when I have a bad game or if I'm in a slump, and I know he'll know exactly what to say to kind of get me out of it and help me.
Well, that's always helpful when you have a family member that's in the school system, Talk about the opposite. What are some of the hardest classes and hardest assignments that you've had, and ones that you're really proud that you were able to get through?
Well, just math class in general. I'm in pre-calc right now. Math has never been my strong suit. So definitely like a test or a quiz in math. I'm always happy to get those out of the way. So,
all right, let's get to know you a little bit off the floor. I'm going to start with candy / dessert / guilty pleasure foods, because we always like to get people hungry early on in the morning. What's your favorite kind of dessert, I guess I should say, or a sweet tooth?
Oh my goodness. I would say ice cream, definitely.
You're not going to let you off the hook there because you got to go with flavor. What's the best flavor?
Cake batter ice cream. That is my all-time favorite.
And where do you go to get it?
Handles.
There you go. That's my order. Like that. We're connected there. What about candy? What's the candy for you?
My goodness. I would say peanut M&Ms. Mm-hmm. Those are my favorite. So. And then every away game, I know you guys get snack bags, and you guys that's the wonderful part of high school athletics, snack bags on road games. What would make a perfect snack bag for you? Okay. Probably I always drink an energy drink before the game, so maybe like a Celsius or something in there. And then I don't really like to eat a whole lot before the games because I'm always so nervous.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe like a bag of peanut M&Ms or something just
Right.
for the ride there.
So you're not eating before the game. What do you do to celebrate? What's the celebration meal like?
Oh goodness. Well, on away games, usually my parents will stop somewhere, and since most of our away games are in Mahoning County, usually there's a Chick-fil-A on the way home. So I like to get Chick-fil-A after the games.
Chick-fil-A's are for winners, right? I mean,
yeah, right.
And you haven't had to worry about that. 18-0. Let's go into some of the things like your teammates. I want to ask about your teammates. Who do you think is the Crestview teammate clown, like the one that's the funniest on the team?
Oh my goodness, Addison and Lorraine. I don't know if I could pick between those two. They're so funny.
Who's the best dancer on the team?
I would have to go with Addison too. When Mr. B's playing all the pregame songs, she starts feeling it. She starts dancing.
Who is the one person on your team? Like we asked about the one that's the funniest. Who's the one that takes things like the most seriously, hard to crack a smile with, hard to get them to joke around when it's go time?
I'm going back to Addison for this one. When the game starts, she's not messing around.
Addison's racking up the awards.
Yeah.
Who's got the most style on the team?
The most style. Lorraine Gaskin. She has some really cool shoes.
I was gonna ask the next, like, who's got the biggest kicks? But Lorraine, I do like her shoes.
Yep.
I've seen them a couple of times. They stand out. That's always good for broadcasters.
Yep.
Shoes that stand out. What teammate has the best music taste, do you think?
Ava Busey. Ava has our pregame hype and practice playlists, and there's some good songs on there. So
it's got to be a heck of a responsibility to be. You're in charge of our music.
Yeah, but she does a good job.
Before we let you go, I want to ask about what it's going to be like when you're transitioning to next year and trying to sharpen your leadership tools a little bit this year. So when next year hits and you have all those things that are asked of you as a senior leader, what's that been like to try to get into it this year and try to kind of build yourself in the next year when you're going to be a senior, you're going to be a leader?
Yeah, obviously senior year is going to be bittersweet, but I'm obviously going to want to make the best of it. So going into next year as a senior, I just think making sure we maintain the same standard that we kind of have this year and continuing our success, I think would be the most important thing.
All right, Meyer, before we let you go, I want to give you the time to take that light that we're shining on you and shining on your support system. I want to give you the time to thank the people that are in your corner, the people that have your back. I want to give you as much time as you need to give those shout outs out.
Okay, well, obviously my teammates, I'm extremely grateful to be a part of such a dedicated team of hard workers. I think that's a really special thing. And then my parents, they're at everything. They're always supporting me. And then obviously just the whole coaching staff. They're always there. They're always encouraging us. And, I think that's really important.
All right, Meyer, we want to thank you so much for your time. We appreciate it. Wish you the best of luck the rest of this season, and we hope to talk to you again real soon.
Thank you.
And that was Meyer Miller from Crestview with the player profile feature of today's episode. We thank her for her time and being able to be a part of that interview. What a great interview that is, though. I mean, someone that is really stepping into a big role this year. You go from getting a little bit of varsity last year here and there, but now all of a sudden you're a starter, right? I don't think people understand what a big jump that is. And then the first game of the year against a Final Four team the year ago in Springfield to go and hit a basically game sealing three with them up by 5 and the clock winding down. She buries a three, puts them up by 8, which is now 3 possessions, and Springfield could not come back into this game. And when you think about the fact that It ended up being a 2-point game. Springfield hit a buzzer beater to make it a 2-point game. You take 3 points away, that buzzer beater wins, and Springfield wins by 1. So that's huge. I was immediately got my attention. Like, okay, I see you, Meyer Miller. And then the rest of the year, she's just been continuing to do a very good job. She's second on the team in 3-point attempts behind Emily Downey. She's shot 64, I believe, threes on the year. She's shooting 29% from 3. So doing a really good job as an outside presence, as a great defender. And when you have the inside presence that Crestview does, having those perimeter players like Meyer and Emily Downey, really, really important. And she's doing a great job. We have more Crestview players on the docket, so you'll be hearing from a couple more Crestview players throughout the week. But we continue to shine a light on student athletes here on Running Point, going the extra mile for you the same way that our sponsor, Greenwood Chevrolet, does. Before we get out of here, let's pop back into the scoreboard on Ysn Live, which is presented by Burnett Pools, Spas, and Hot Tubs. Let's jump from Saturday, where we left off, into today and see what games we have on the docket for Monday. Girls night and 1 boys game on the docket tonight. And there are a plethora of big conference, standings at stake kind of games tonight on the girls' side. Let's go to Maplewood and Ashtabula St. John. They'll kick off the scoreboard. Lakeview travels to Girard. Girard obviously 1 game back in the NE8, so they're trying to keep pace against a Lakeview team that put up a heck of a fight against Poland on Thursday, but did fall to the Bulldogs. Boardman goes outside of the conference, and they go to Youngstown East. Campbell Memorial will travel to Brookfield tonight. We have an interesting one, another non-conference game for an AAC team. This one should be fun. Canfield at Ursuline tonight. This is one of the first ones that will have conference standings on the line. Champion 1 game back of Crestview. Their only loss in the MVAC so far is to the Rebels. It was 8 points. It was the closest league game that Crestview has had. It's in Crestview this time around. Champion, can they knock off the Rebels and earn a tie for first place, or can the Rebels get a win and take a 2-game lead late in the season in the MVAC? I don't think it'll be the end-all be-all conference championship for Crestview. I think they still have more games than they would be up, but it would be the de facto, no one else in the conference has given them a fight championship. So if that were to happen, a big one on the line in Columbiana County, as Champion trying to return the favor, go on the road to Crestview and get the win tonight. It'll definitely be a tough task for Champion. I'll tell you, Carly Easterday better ball out, because you need to rebound against Crestview and you need to rim protect. If you do that, you'll have a good chance. Look at the team that one of the teams that they really had some trouble with. Springfield, first game of the year, granted, but still, you have a big presence in down low in Jamaica Brungard. So that tells you what you need to do to go and beat Crestview. You have to have an inside presence. You have to have your Carly Easterday play really well. You have to have some of your bigger guards like Kennedy Caldwell get in there. Addie Warzela's got to go in there and get some rebounds for you, because that was the difference in the first game of the year. Crestview dominated the glass, and they're going to have to square that up, and I'm sure Michael Cole knows that all too well. He's won 200-plus games in his career for a reason. Next, we go to Hubbard, traveling to Badger tonight in a non-conference game for the Eagles. Latonia goes to Valley Christian in the EOAC. We have Liberty going to LeBray. Another one with first place in the line. Same scenario as Crestview and Middle Ridge square off. Only 1 loss on Middle Ridge's slate in the league. No losses for Springfield. The 1 loss by Middle Ridge was at home to Springfield. So this is the exact same scenario on the other side of the MVAC. Springfield wins tonight. They have a 2-game lead. They have the driver's seat. If Middle Ridge wins, it's a tie in first place right now in the conference. But if Middle Ridge does win, by the way, it does set up a really big one on Thursday for the Rams against Western Reserve, where they would quickly have to hold serve if they were able to tie up the league tonight. Mogador travels to Wyndham tonight. We have Newton Falls going to Garrettsville Garfield. South Range versus Poland. The Raiders trying to be the only NE8 team ever to go and beat Poland on the road. And the first team also in NE8 history. Obviously, if no one's beat them in Poland, no one's beaten them twice. So South Range, even though they're out of the NE8 race, trying to make a statement this year by being the first NE8 team to do that. Poland, they're one game up against Girard. So they want to keep that outright NE8 title. They have to make sure to take care of business against South Range because they have another test on the horizon after South Range, and that's Struthers. And that will be in the field house as well. The way Struthers has been playing, you don't want to mess with the Wildcats with a tie at NE8. So I'm sure Poland would really love to take care of business tonight against South Range at home, where they have been beyond dominant in the league. But South Range has a big opportunity in front of them, trying to be the first team, like I said, in the NE8 in the last 6 years since the conference started to beat Poland at home. Struthers will go to Niles and tonight in the NE8, trying to get some momentum into their Poland matchup in the next one. Beaver Local travels to Southern. We have United going to Columbiana. That's the third one with first place on the line. And this one gets really wild because it's a possible three-way tie for the EOAC if United is able to go and get their second win of the year over Columbiana. So here's the EOAC scenario. Southern has 2 losses. They've lost to Columbiana twice. United has 2 losses. They've lost to Southern twice. Columbiana has 1 loss. They've lost to United. So Columbiana, if they beat United, they still only have a 1-game lead. It's a 1-game lead over Southern, but their chances of losing in the rest of the conference go way down because they've already beaten Southern, who is the other team in that conversation, and they would beat United, split the series. So they would be in the driver's seat in the EOAC. Still 1 game up of Southern. Southern would still be hoping that someone shocks them somewhere down the road. But if United wins, all 3 of those teams have 2 losses, and they're all tied. And they've all played each other a second time. So it would get really interesting if United won. That is all about matchups, right? That is all because Southern matches up well against United. In the first matchup, United matched up well against Columbiana, and Columbiana matches up really well with Southern. So, what's going to shake out tonight? That's really interesting in the EOAC. Speaking of the EOAC, Wellsville with a road trip to East Palestine tonight. Western Reserve travels to Sebring. Jackson Milton goes to Lowville. We have Warren JFK hosting Bristol. Beaver area is going to be at home against Quaker Valley. East Liverpool travels to Indian Creek tonight. And last but not least, Edison goes to St. Clairsville tonight in girls basketball. 1 boys game, and it's the boys-girls doubleheader in Ashtabula St. John, as the girls will play Maplewood at 5, and the boys will play Maplewood after. So a girls-boys doubleheader in St. John tonight, and that is the only boys game of the night. We are in a little bit of overtime. I didn't even realize it. I got so caught up in the show. Let's just quickly go over what will be on the network and who will be there, and then we'll get out of here for the day. Tonight, we have Lakeview at Girard. Matt Marr and Jordan Barber will be there. Sam Torres is going to be in St. John for that boys-girls doubleheader. We have DJ Yoakley traveling with Boardman to Youngstown East. Chris Sigler will be in Ursuline for their matchup with Canfield. We have Tony Perazio in Crestview for that first place matchup with Champion. Bill Shea will be in Badger as Hubbard comes to town. Noah Doty will be in Springfield for that first place matchup in the MVAC Scarlet tier. Wyndham's YouTube channel will have you covered with their matchup with Mogador. Garrettsville Garfield School broadcast team will have you covered for their matchup with Newton Falls. I will be in Poland for South Range Poland. Larry Scragg will be in Southern for Beaver Local and Southern. Joe Sebia will have the first place matchup between United and Columbiana. And then CJ Schroeds has Beaver area covered against Quaker Valley. That is varsity only tonight. So that one should be fun as well. So a big night on the network. 3 games with first place on the line. All of them covered. No one gives you what Ysn gives you. Trust me on that. Make sure to tune in to ysnlive.com/live tonight. You don't want to miss the docket of games. It's big. It's huge. Conference championships on the line. Here we go. ysnlive.com/live. Thank you so much for tuning in to Running Point today. Brought to you as always by our good friends